Today we are making some vegan pesto roasted veg with pasta, and I discovered this recipe very recently and man, it is so good. Gonna add some water to the pan for our pasta and get that started, and by the time pasta on 6, water on 6 even, by the time the pasta is ready, all of this stuff will be ready as well. So let's get chopping, and we just want to chop our veg into chunks like this. Actually, let's turn on our oven as well. Stick it on about 200 degrees, which is around 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna chop up our veg into little chunks, something like this, and make sure that you keep these end bits. A lot of people throw them away, but they're still tasty, and it's just a waste, especially if you're into vegan cooking and you want to, maybe you're doing that for environmental reasons, then waste as little food as possible. So yeah, I always use all of the mushroom. So pretty simple, just quartering these mushrooms, depending on the size of them obviously. The key with the veg here is that it obviously all needs to be the same sort of size so that it cooks at the same speed. And sometimes, yeah, I'll just chop off the end and just leave it in like that. So do that into quarters, and we're almost finished. So I've kind of already measured out my veg because I know how much I need, but if you don't, a really great way to do it, let's add the mushrooms in. A really great way to, to measure out the amount of veg you need is just as you're chopping it, add it into your baking tray, and then you can see how much space it takes up. So here I've also got an aubergine, which we're gonna slice down here as well. And you can do all sorts of different veg for this. Other ones that I would recommend would be a bit of, courgette would work well. You could also do some pumpkin, I think would be tasty. Some, there's loads of different things that could go with it. Whoops, we lost one. And we're not fussy about it because there's not going to be any germs on there, it's fine. 5-second rule. We're cooking it anyway, so it'll get rid of any badness. So again, making sure that we're reducing any waste as well. So let's keep doing this. So let me think, what other things could we put in here? Baby corn, that's a great one to put in. Also, and why is my mind going completely blank? So what other things could we put in? Anyway, use your imagination. Sorry, I completely forgot. That's enough things though. So I found this way to cut peppers recently, which is so cool. You just go around the middle bit here, like that. Boop, pops out, and give it a tap, and that gets rid of all of the seeds inside. It's just so much quicker to chop it up like this. So let's go around here. And it's so fun discovering new cooking techniques, I find, like quicker ways to chop things or new ways to cook things. Like this new meal, I just love it because it's so simple. There's so few steps. It's just about you cutting up the vegetables, potting it all together, and it's just a nice, simple, really tasty meal. And that's what I'm all about. I didn't used to like peppers so much, but they've really grown on me, and especially these little ones are so tasty. So I love the crunch to them, and it's a good smell as well. That You're gonna have to make it yourself to have a good sniff of the peppers. I like it. So keep getting rid of these seeds. Obviously that technique doesn't always completely get rid of them. Some peppers, it seems you can pretty much get rid of all of it in one, but then there's a few stubborn ones that hang on to the seeds. So we'll slice it, get rid of those bits, lovely. And this one as well. Cool, so those peppers are de-seeded. And this one, I think this one actually went all the way. Yeah, there we go. Lovely. Cool, so now, nice simple chop up our peppers. I'm just gonna do them into little slices like this, so around the same sort of size. Another thing I made with these actually was onion. That went really nicely. Caramelized, lovely. Went really nice with the pasta and the other veg. So you can experiment really. This is a good one to use up veg that needs to be used. You can just, as long as it's something relatively soft like this. Sweet potatoes should work as well, but I wouldn't have thought regular potatoes would work too well because they need a little bit longer to cook. Cool, so let's have a little sip of water. We like to stay hydrated and also speak in the third person apparently. So there's all our veg, beautiful, and we're going to add in some vegan tomato pesto. So just pour it all over, use the whole jar, no holding back here, and just grab a little teaspoon. I love this little teaspoon. It's made from, I think it's actually wheat, and they're so nice. They don't conduct heat as much as metal does, so it won't cool down your tea and coffee as much when you stir with it, and it won't absorb all the heat into it. Oh, pesto is so good, man. And I think red pesto is definitely the one to go with for this sort of meal. I mean, you're welcome to try some green pesto. I think it would still be nice, but red pesto is the one. So we're just giving it a nice little mix, and quite a lot of videos and stuff I saw when I was researching the recipe to see the different ways people do it. Often people will mix the veg up in a separate bowl and stuff, but it's really not necessary. I like to keep things simple and reduce the amount of washing up, the amount of waste, and make things taste as good as possible. And this recipe ticks all of those boxes, because the only thing we really have to wash up is this tray, and that is only going to have pasta in, so it's going to be super easy to wash as well. Yeah, I'm going to make this recipe a lot. Cool, so just got to make sure that everything's all nicely covered in the pesto. And now let's spread things out so that it cooks nice and evenly throughout. Honestly, the smell of pesto is so good. Like the tomatoey smell, and also like it's got plenty of oil in as well. That really carries the smell. Oh, delicious. Right, I can't wait to stick this in, because the veg caramelizes, and oh, it gets so good. So we're going to stick it in the preheated oven. It's at 200 degrees, which is about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 392 to be exact. And now, right on cue, this is starting to boil. So we're going to add in a little bit of salt. It's not an exact science, but I like to give a good amount of salt in there. And what this does is it internally seasons your pasta, which means the salt absorbs into it and it really improves the flavor. Rather than the salty flavor just being on the outside of the pasta, it's running all the way through. So that's nice and hot. We can add in our pasta. I like fusilli for this. I think the pastas that have holes in between, like penne or rigatoni or something like that, won't work as well because this is quite a chunky sauce, you know, the big chunks of veg, so they're not going to actually go inside the pasta. You just want it to coat the outside. With something like a bolognese or something, that can kind of go inside the rigatoni or the penne, and it's lovely. But this type of pasta, something like this, or the little bow ties, I can't remember what those ones are called. But yeah, we'll stick plenty of pasta in there. Should be a good amount for this is kind of a medium, maybe one large meal for one person, or, you know, a relatively small meal for two. Obviously you can always bump up the amounts, but this is a good amount for our afternoon meal. So what we're gonna do is, now we've given that pasta a good stir to make sure it doesn't stick, we're gonna reduce the temperature once it starts to boil again, and just leave it on a fairly low boil to keep cooking. This should take about 11-12 minutes, something like that. All right, so I've just been cleaning up and chilling for the last 10 minutes. Let's just have a quick look on and do a taste test on the pasta. Yeah, perfect. Just a little bit al dente, which is what we want. So we'll turn off the pasta and just give it a quick drain. Yeah, that's just how I like the pasta. Needs to still have a little bit of a bite to it, I think. Cool. Stick the pasta there. Obviously don't put it back on the heat because then it's gonna burn. And let's check on the veg. Fingers crossed, that's all done. Whew. Oh, doesn't that look good? Yeah. Right, let's have a little taste. I'll grab a fork. Just a little taste. See how it's doing. Oh, look how soft it's gotten. Oh man. So good. So what we're gonna do now is we'll just stick that to the side and add our pasta straight into the tray, just to be quick with things. And I like plenty of olive oil. It's a, you know, extra virgin olive oil, tastes great, and it's a lovely source of healthy fat. So don't be afraid of sticking a load of olive oil and stuff. And salt as well. That's another one. I think it's a real shame that there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about salt and olive oil. And a lot of people think that they're these evil things that are bad for you, which is a shame because they're really not. They're healthy and they taste so good. So yeah, don't be afraid of olive oil and salt. We're gonna mix this all up in our tray. And like I was saying, this is the great part about this meal. It's just so simple. There's so little washing up. Like this, I mean, look, we can do it now. Look, boom, do that. And we're done. We're washed up. And then we're just gonna give this a quick wash afterwards. So this meal is great because it's super tasty, super easy to make. The whole thing only takes about half an hour start to finish, and 10 of those minutes you can clean up and just hang out in the middle of. So it's one of the most low maintenance meals and it tastes so freaking good. because all of the veg starts to caramelize, it gets really sweet, and oh, it's amazing. Right, well, let's stop talking about how amazing this is and serve it up. Now, I am trying to make it look nice, so I'm being a little bit slower with how I'm putting it in. And I've found that I've said this in a few videos, like I'm some genius for discovering it, but I've just found that if you pile food up, like the higher food is, the better it looks in general. So if you try and put it all on the same spot in the middle, it just ends up looking better than if you've kind of just spread it out flat on the plate. Let's give it a little taste. So we'll grab we're gonna get a bit of everything in this mouthful. We're gonna get a little bit of mushroom, some pepper, let's get that bit of aubergine, and a pasta. And let's get 2 pasta. I think that's the right ratio. So let's give this a try. So it's definitely got some sweetness to it and plenty of salt on the front because we added the extra salt in. I think it really needs that. Beautiful textures and like a combination, because these are still kind of crunchy, but then the mushrooms and the aubergine are really soft with the pasta. Some really rich, comforting flavors. I can now taste as well the little bits of black pepper that I put in that just gives it a little bit of extra heat. And oh, this is such a satisfying, easy, beautiful meal. So thanks for watching. Oh, first off, I recommend adding maybe some hummus or a little bit of salad as well, whatever you like, but especially hummus, just so that you've got a good amount of protein with the meal as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.